Is there actually signs of optimism when it comes to the Calgary Flames and the whole saga with the Events Centre? That's what I'll talk about in this video. Hi there, it's Brett Hornby here, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I've definitely been making several videos talking about the Calgary Events Centre and the ups and downs we've been going through the last several years with the Saga and everything. So if you want to follow along with this Calgary sports fans journey, just make sure you hit like, subscribe. I mostly do talk Calgary sports on my YouTube channel, but I found this article that just kind of fell into my lap. I think I searched for it on, just on it a general Google search tab app, and it goes through your recommendations and interests. But I saw this article from TSN, and it actually has the headline, "Signs of Optimism Surrounded Flames Arena Negotiations," I meant to say, not negotiations. But found that actually piqued my interest, because if you remember last month, I already made a couple videos where, just before Christmas, where apparently development permits were already signed off on, and the original scheduled plan was that the new Events Centre, which will eventually be the new home for the Calgary Flames, was going to start construction this month, being January 2022, with the expected opening around the 24-25 season. Well, it was the head of the Calgary Flames ownership telling our city, I'm pulling the plug, Murray Everett's telling Jody down at the mayor, and it just seemed like the city just like, oh well. And then the new year, the city suddenly is like, we need to get back to the bargaining table about this new event center, because that seems to be the plan around it. And ultimately, the project ballooned up to $608 million, and then it was apparently going to be $634 million when you factor in the climate and the right of way, which was only like 2% of the cost that put the deal off the table. But it sounds like, according to Salim Veggi's article, because the city council all agreed that we should go back to talking about it, and it seems like both sides agree, the Flames and the city, even though they agree to disagree, that we need this new arena not only to keep the Flames in town, but to revitalize the downtown core. But they agreed that the city should intervene a third party, and that's what this story talks about. So it starts off nearly a month after the city of Calgary and Flame ownership abruptly cut off negotiations for a new arena. There is optimism and agreement can be reached for the first half of this year. So we're looking at maybe by June, that'd be the latest first half of this year, that maybe there'll be some agreement to get this thing going again. And as I mentioned, initially set to break down early 2022, which is about now, a block from where the Saddledome currently is, which is just north of the dome. There's the park lot there, and apparently there's a tree that's definitely been standing out that I guess eventually you'll get knocked down, and that tree's been there for over 100 years. If you're familiar with the Calgary area, I guess I should try to maybe do some vlogging out there, see the progress of the BMO Centre construction, and capture that tree if I ever get back into doing that. But as I mentioned, that the original deal fell apart due to expense overruns, which the Flames eventually, with all the negotiations, it was originally supposed to be 50-50, and it was going to be $550 million, where Flames pay half, city pays half, because eventually it's the city that's going to own this building, and that is going to lease it out to the Flames for 35 years. And then there was construction delays with the cost of materials. I mean, now with the pandemic and supply chain issues, that's where it got up to $608 million, where both sides agreed to add in another $12.5 million, and then the city was going to, the Flames were going to pay for the overruns. But then eventually they were thinking it was only $10 to $20 million of the climate expenses with the solar panels and the right of way. They eventually pulled this off, which the deal was off, and started this saga again. And the whole time the Flames said they were committed to stay in the Saddledome, and as I know, the lease with the Flames in the city have the Flames playing in the Saddledome, the lease going up till 2033. But then the Saddledome being, the older arena in the league and need to upkeep it, that the cost to upkeep it might almost cost more than what the city would have to spend to come to this agreement. But then it mentioned, mid-January is when city council say, hey, we should get back to it, that they voted to pursue the new agreement with the Calgary Sport Entertainment Board. Parent company Flames that the difference now that'll be a third party, which I think that might be needed because it looks like there's contentious history, not of the Flames in the city right now, but even if you look back to when the Events Centre Saldom got built, there was contentious issues with city council then about the city and who's going to pay for it. That was one of the reasons why we lost the Cowboys in the World Hockey Association, that there was no prospect of another building being built at that time. But the World Hockey Association was also on shaky financial ground at that time, and then ultimately we got the Olympics for 1988, and that Saldom was built for it. But getting back to that, this kind of agreement to have a third party to shepherd in between the city and the Flames, they said it's more common in the United States than in Canada, which makes that interesting. But I think given the relationship that both sides, I say, especially in my last video, that the Flames know they need the arena, the city knows they need the arena because part of the revitalization of the East Village and Victoria Park is that they have vision for this event center to be the centerpiece, and then also the fact that they're trying to use that to revitalize their downtown, especially with several economic downturns, the crash of oil and the pandemic and that. But of course, it always gets touchy when you involve public funds on building a sports complex. But even those billion-dollar NFL stadiums that get built, some public funds are in it. But I mentioned going back to the story that according to a source close to negotiations at Oakview Group, founded by the former Toronto Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment Group, Ken Lewicki, ownership stakes in the Climate Pledge Arena in Seattle, as well as the EBS Arena in Long Island. Other facilities could be a candidate, so maybe someone involved with the more recent buildings being built in the National Hockey League could be a third party to help the Flames and the city come to agreement with the facilitation of the construction. Because this has been going on for 7 years, where you started the next project, which was going to be on the east end of the downtown and would have been an all-one facility for field house and the ice arena. But then there was cost overruns where it came from like $800 million to like $1.5 billion. And then there was the land, reclamation and cleaning up the land and all that to make it messy, and then that eventually died off. And then I know that I did mention in the last video that Jeff Davison, who was on the council at the time, then he ran for mayor, that he unsuccessfully won the mayor's bid. He was a big part of getting that deal that eventually was agreed upon in 2019. So that was why we were able to get back to closer to having this done. But then things have changed and new city council and that. But I'm going to say that's definitely some positive ground that the city has wanted to be able to look at getting back to the table with the Flames. I mean, I figured that there's still a framework in place for both the Flames and the city. Of course, the other thing mentioned in the story is that we're not going to know until if they say the first half of the year about if there's an agreement that about how much the cost is going to be. I'm sure eventually it's going to probably cost even more, but I'm going to say when you look at, for example, up in Edmonton with the ice district, and the fact that I've been walking around that area up in Edmonton at least once or twice a year, every year for the past decade, I've definitely seen that area revitalized where the the Rogers place is, where the Oilers now play. That's definitely something the city could use to revitalize that area. It's more than just having the arena there. It's just, more commercial, residential, more places and things to do in that area. I mean, I did make a video showing the Neon Sign Museum, and that's one of the things that got added in Edmonton in the ice district from the last few years because of that there, and maybe it's something that could be something interesting to add in around the new event center. But I'm going to think eventually the new arena is going to get built here in Calgary. There's definitely just been a lot of drama, pissing matchup. I think the City TV, if I keep remembering what they called it, they say it was kind of a, sort of a broken marriage. That's the analogy used. It's definitely an agree to disagree, but I think they both agree that this arena needs to be built for the, not only keeping the Flames here, but just looking at the long-term vision of the revitalization of downtown and looking at changing that area of Victoria Park to make it more vibrant, year-round instead of just 10 days in July for the Stampede or any other events. But it's still going to be wondering how much it's going to cost and all that. And when you look at the other costs that would associate with trying to fix up the Saladome and the fact that, let's say if the Flames were going to play the we're going to move card, I think the Flames would have to pay more to move for a relocation. I think if I remember, this was back in 2011, the last time that team actually relocated in the National Hockey League, where you had the Atlanta Thrashers move to Winnipeg, where the current Winnipeg Jets are. I think it was $500 million then that they had to pay a relocation fee, and I'm sure that's going to cost even more if a team was going to relocate now in the National Hockey League, but I don't think it's going to come down to that. I mean, it's just a matter of trying to figure out the politics, but that seems to be the vibe right now, is that the City Council all agreed that they should try to continue dialogue with the Calgary Flames. I think, there's a framework that's already in place. It's just figuring out the other nuts and crannies that, that where the Flames ownership pulled off with the, deal with the climate and the roadway. And I know the other part of the long-term vision for the Calgary and the Olympic Saladome, or the Scotiabank Saladome, that's called, that they were going to pay for removing that building when the time comes, once the new arena is built and settled in. But I know that the Flames will have to at least be committed to play there at least for another 4 years now, because all this, back and forth and the games being played, the political hockey game off the ice, this definitely is going to delay, I'm going to say, when the Flames will be able to move in. We're not looking at 25-26 season, where I think that's the soonest that the Flames, as well as the Hib and the Roughnecks, will be moving shop into the new event center. Because now, if we're not looking at towards, later this year, that agreement will be made. And I'm going to say, until I see boots on the ground and shovels in the ground and beams being put up and all that, I'm still not going to be excited yet for a new arena. I feel optimistic. I think it's still going to get done. But it's just, it's definitely been drama. And need the beer and popcorn. It's just been going on for so long. I mean, as I mentioned, the next project started back in 2015 with that proposal. And then it kind of died, and then it became an election issue in 2017, and then it wasn't until, Councillor Jeff Davison led the way to have the city and the Flames come out to that agreement, that originally that $550 million agreement back in 2019, and then a lot has changed. I mean, I would also say this, the Flames definitely will not be moving anytime soon if the NHL is still damn set on Arizona, because I'll take back that I never thought I'd see in the NHL again, where, I thought it was crazy when the Flames moved here from Atlanta, that they played 3 seasons in the old Stampede Corral. Well, the saga that's going on in Arizona, because they've had Bills problems with the playing in Glendale at the Gila River Arena, where the city of Glendale said, "You're not playing in our building anymore." Apparently, they're thinking about, I'm not familiar with the Arizona metropolitan area, but they're looking at the Arizona Coyotes, that they're going to be building their new arena in Tempe, but then in the meantime, they're going to be playing at the Arizona State University arena with only 5,000 fans, and go there for like 3-4 years. And keep in mind, the Corral had over 6,800 fans and another 2,000 standing room only. So how crazy is that? If the NHL is willing to do that for Arizona, then there's no way that they're going to move Calgary, but you just never know. I still get a little iffy with Gary Bettman, but I think at least if there's dialogue, continue on. I think eventually we'll get there, because I mean the New York Islanders had a much longer runway until they got their new arena in the UBS Centre now, and I'm gonna say we're eventually gonna get there. It's just taking a lot longer than planned, but seeing the history of the Flames and in the past, I guess this is also expected. But what do you think? I'll put that article in the description below, but it does seem to be some optimism, because it was last month before Christmas when the Flames pulled out. It wasn't until the new year that the city, tried to keep the ball rolling, and I'm going to still say it's optimism that there's still some talking going on, and it's just all the games beyond the scenes. Who knows, maybe next month they'll be in agreement again, and then they'll say, well, we're damn well going to start in April. Who knows? I'm just throwing stuff out there right now. So anyway, I'd like to say, if you want to follow along with this Calgary sports fan's journey, home to the Flames, Hibben, Roughnecks, and Stampeders. I mostly do talk Calgary sports on my channel, where we recap games and stories and that. And I guess there will still definitely be a few more Arena Saga stories in the future. Hopefully continue on going towards it happening, but even if it goes the other way, of course I'll make videos on it. What else do a variety of non-sports content when I have time, like bursts of vlogs, attempt to comedy. I do share my experience on the road or a sport event. And that's a vlogging to go, which, for example, if you want to look at my Stampede Corral demolition videos, I did that last year at this time, where I was showing the demolition progress of the Stampede Corral. So if that all sounds like it'd be interesting to watch, do follow along with this Calgary sports fan's journey. You know what you do, just make sure you hit like, subscribe. I also have my other social links down in the description below, and I do have my second channel in Brett Hornby Shorts, where I exclusively put my short form content on there, so I appreciate that you subscribe both here on my main channel as well as my second channel. And also, speaking of video plans for 2022 myself, I do have a couple of video series that I plan to do this year, which if you subscribe and stay tuned, you'll know what those planned video series are, and hopefully they'll go as planned as what I want to do this year. So as I say, go Flames go. Let's hope that there's optimism. We're getting closer to this building, this new building that we need. As iconic as the Saddledome is, and I'm always going to associate that iconic building with the City of Calgary, it's just not working for economic viability for the Calgary Flames long term. And if we do need this new building, I'm willing to move on, but I also don't want to lose the team either. But let's just hope there's more progress being made. So I just want to say thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.